Okay, guys, be honest. Are you sleeping on Epcot? Did you think it was the boring park or the park that was only for adults or the one that you can skip? Because I got news for you. It is not that way anymore. Anyway, it has quickly gone from my least favorite park to going head to head in my rankings with Magic Kingdom for my favorite park. I can never decide which one I like better. But anyway, I digress. Today we are taking a deep dive into Epcot with kids. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Jessica and this is my Disney channel. This channel is totally dedicated to Disney and specifically Disney with kids. And today we are talking about Epcot. And first of all, I'm going to give some general tips on doing Epcot with kids. And then we're going to kind of do an in-depth virtual tour of Epcot where I'm going to kind of talk to you through each different land and the different attractions that are there and just talk about which ones I think are must-dos with kids and which ones you might want to ride with caution, which ones might have things that are a little scary for kids. So if you are visiting Epcot with kids, hopefully you will find this video helpful. So for the longest time, I thought Epcot, like I said in my intro, I thought Epcot was kind of the boring park. Even during our first couple of trips, it took a while for me to be won over to the reality that Epcot is the best. Like really, it has, and the reason I think that is because it has things for everyone. Magic Kingdom is more geared toward kids. And I would say Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom have a lot of rides and attractions that are more for older kids. They don't have as much for little toddlers, but Epcot has something for everyone. So that's why I think it is one that you're not going to want to skip on your trip. So the overall vibes of Epcot are just so much more laid back than Magic Kingdom. Yes, it can still get very busy, but it doesn't feel that same, you don't feel that same chaotic energy that you do the whole time that you're at Magic Kingdom. There's a ton of things to do, but there aren't as many rides, so you're not trying to run from one thing to the other. You can take some time, you can enjoy walking through the World Showcase, and you can really just tailor your day so that everybody in your party is going to have something that they really enjoy doing. So there is it used to be Future World and World Showcase, and now there's all these new different names for the lands in Epcot, which I'm going to have to look at my notes when we do the virtual tour because I can't always remember them all. But that's basically the old Future World is one section that it has a lot of rides in it. You have the Land Pavilion, the Seas Pavilion. There's all kinds of just fun things to do there. It's definitely like a vibe. And then the whole other half of the park is the World Showcase, where you go from country to country and do different things there. I know my 10-year-old probably has the most things she enjoys in, I'm just going to call it Future World. I know that's not what it's called anymore, but it's just easier to call it that. My 10-year-old probably enjoys Future World the best because she loves Soarin'. She loves all the rides over there, but and the adults really love the World Showcase. There's so much good food. Epcot has the best food of any park by a landslide, in my opinion. In World Showcase, there's a lot of stuff for the adults to enjoy. There's a lot of shopping. There's a lot of dining. That's really good. There's a lot of characters, so also things that kids like. And there's some newer rides in World Showcase too. So like I said, you can really just find things that everybody's gonna like, and it's more of a relaxed feel. So that's why we enjoy it so much. So now I'm gonna go into some tips and some things that I think might be helpful, specifically if you're bringing kids. So first of all, you always have to think about Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes and whether you want to purchase those extra things. We typically do at Epcot, but I will say there are fewer attractions at Epcot than Magic Kingdom. So if you don't get them booked early and if you don't get good ones booked, it can sometimes feel like you're just getting these lightning lanes for rides that you don't really need them for anyway, like Live with the Land, Spaceship Earth. Journey into Imagination with Figment. Those ones never really have a long line unless you're there at those really, really busy times. If there's a really long line for any of those rides, you know it's probably one of the busiest days of the year. But we have found in the past a lot of times that the lightning lanes that pop up as available are for rides that you don't necessarily need them for. But, you know, we've also had some success with getting some of the bigger rides too. My husband, he's one that he'll just constantly like reload the app until one of the rides that we want pops up and we can book it. But if you don't feel like spending your whole day doing that, you might not want to do Genie Plus. So, but it is helpful. It will help you do a few more things. We've done it with and without Genie Plus. So you can be thinking about that. Whereas Magic Kingdom, I would say you definitely should probably get Genie Plus if you're going to want to ride everything. It's possible to ride everything without it in Epcot. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer, especially for those newer rides. So also there is, in my opinion, the best ride in the park, if not in the world at this park, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And we will talk about it more when we go through our virtual tour, but this ride is amazing. I can't even say enough good things about it. I love it so much. Currently, you do have to purchase you don't have to purchase, you have to book a virtual queue for this ride if you want to ride it. You can book it at 7 o'clock or at 1 o'clock p.m. And those are the only two times that it kind of pops up so you can book it. And they do sometimes run out. So if you're not quick enough, you just might not get one. So that's why it's really important. You're gonna probably want to get up at 7 a.m. and be booking it if you want to ride that at all. And it does have a height requirement. It is more of a thrill ride. So if you have little kids, they're not going to be able to ride it anyway. But just for your own knowledge, I think it is the best ride. So definitely going to want to book that if that's important to you. You can also buy an individual lightning lane for that one. Honestly, you can even do both and like ride it twice in the same day. So definitely one of your must-do rides, if not the absolute top must-do ride of all 4 parks. Anyway, so those are the things you're going to kind of want to think about going into the day. Make sure you're booking those things that you want. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is the only ride at Epcot that has an individual lightning lane that you can purchase. All the other ones are going to be covered in Genie Plus if you purchase that. The most popular rides are the Frozen ride, which is in Norway in the World Showcase. If that one is important to you, you're either going to want to try to get a Genie Plus lightning lane for that, or you're going to want to probably rope drop that one, which means to go there first, or Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is in France. That is the newest ride besides Cosmic Rewind in the park. It's super cute, super popular. So you're probably going to want to go there first or save those two for last. They're probably going to have your longest lines. Soarin', which is in the Land Pavilion, can get a little bit long too. That one is a little bit easier to book a lightning lane for if you have Genie Plus. And the lines for that one aren't going to quite be as long as for Frozen ride and the Remy ride. But that one's a great one too. That's my daughter's favorite in that park. We always ride it multiple times. And if you wait till later in the evening, sometimes Soarin' will get really short lines, and we've ridden it over and over and over for my daughter before. It kind of takes a long time to ride that ride because you have to go through a long line, then you have to wait through a pre-show, and for whatever reason, it just seems like it always takes a really long time to physically get onto the ride. But the lines can be, I guess that they can be medium long for that one. And like I said before, there's a lot of rides in Epcot that aren't going to have very long lines. So like Living with the Land, Spaceship Earth, Figment, the Figment ride, the Three Caballeros, which is the Donald ride in the Mexico Pavilion. Those are all rides that have very short waits. So those ones you can probably ride anytime in the day and you're not going to have too long of a ride. Mission Space, which I have never ridden, and Test Track, they can probably have more of those like moderate lines, kind of like Soarin'. So just to give you an idea, the ones that are going to have the longer lines, you're going to want to do those first, or last basically. And the ones with the shorter lines, you can do more in the middle of the day. And then you're gonna maximize your time and be able to ride the most amount of rides at Epcot probably. I know this is general knowledge, not really necessarily for specifically kids, but just a good thing to know. But now we are going to specifically get into more of that information for kids. So I was trying to think about Epcot because there is so much fantastic dining in Epcot. You've got great snacks, you have great quick service and great table service restaurants in Epcot. I think it has the best food of any of the parks, and there's such a great variety of food because you have the World Showcase and different dining options in each of the countries. I love it so much, but some of it, can be a little adventurous for kids. So I tried to think of what are the best places to eat if you have little kids. And I just have some table service restaurants here that I think are probably the best for kids, especially if your kids are picky. So, or if they like special experiences. So, first of all, Garden Grill. That is a character dining restaurant. It's in the Land Pavilion, and it's really cool because you get seated and the restaurant, it's like round, and the restaurant just very slowly turns throughout your meal. And as it turns, you can see into the Living with the Land ride. So we love that one, but the best part about it is it's a character meal. And not only that, but you eat family style. So a lot of the character meals are buffet meals. So those can get super chaotic because you're trying to go up, get everybody's food, deal with your kids, make sure everybody has the food they need and that they're happy. And then you also have to make sure you're at your table when the characters are coming around. So those, I think, are a little more chaotic. Like I said, I don't like those as much as the family style restaurants, character meals, which there are only a few of those, but Garden Grill is one. So you're sitting at your table, you just stay there the whole time. They bring you a big platter of food, and the food is pretty delicious. You can get breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. And the food is really good. We've eaten there twice for dinner. We haven't gone for breakfast, but I've heard it's good. And you can just sit and relax, enjoy your food as you rotate around in this restaurant, and the characters come to you while you're just sitting there. You don't have to worry about timing everything. And it always seems like the characters here just seem to spend a lot of time with you. The characters you can meet are Mickey, Pluto, and Chip and Dale. And we went when my toddler she had just turned 1, and she loved Chip and Dale so much. They were playing peekaboo with her and just being so cute, and she loved it. Her older sister loved it, just to watch the cute interactions. And this is a great character meal. So I think any kid would love this meal. So that one is highly recommended if you have kids. There is one other character dining restaurant in Epcot, and that is Akershus, which is in Norway in the World Showcase. I have not eaten here, but I've heard great things. It is a princess character dining restaurant. So it's like a castle. And I'm sorry, I don't have any B-roll of this one because we've never eaten there, but you can look it up online. But it's a castle, and I think I think the princesses kind of rotate. I'm not sure exactly which ones that are meeting because I think it changes, but I've heard really good things. If your kids are really into the princesses, you might like that. And there's that princess restaurant in Magic Kingdom, Cinderella's Royal Table, where you can meet a bunch of the princesses. That one is more expensive, and it's worth more credits on the dining plan. So if you want to meet the princesses at a character meal that's a little more inexpensive than that one, Akershus is a good choice. In addition, Via Napoli, which is an Italian restaurant, obviously in the Italy Pavilion. We've eaten there a few times, and just probably the best pizza I've ever had. We get pizza every time, and I just feel like for kids, most kids like pizza, and this is really, really good pizza. So if your kid's picky and you know they'll eat pizza, Via Napoli is a great restaurant to go for. There's a lot of pizza at Disney World. Some of it's not the greatest, but Via Napoli, I can 100% attest to the fact that it is excellent. You will love it, and your kids will probably love it too. And then the next one, the food, I believe it's a little more upscale. We've tried to go there, but we haven't been able to book it yet because it's always been booked up. But that is Space 220. Like I said, it's a little more upscale, so you might want to look at the menu first to see if your kids would, like anything on the menu. It's a little more expensive too, but when you go, you get on this elevator and it brings you into space. So you go like all the way up into space and you're seated in this big dining room, and there's just a huge window that you can see out into space. So if you have a kid that loves space, this would be a great restaurant for you. There's also, if you have a kid that loves sea creatures, Coral Reef, I've heard the food is not the greatest. I've never eaten there, so I can't say from personal experience. But if your kid loves like sea creatures or sea life, that type of thing, they might want to eat there because it's like a big aquarium where you're eating. If you've seen the Full House episode where they went to Disney World, they ate at this restaurant. Vicky and Danny ate at this restaurant. My daughter still likes Full House, so I have seen these episodes like a million times when I was younger and now as an adult. But anyway, so you might have seen it there. It's a little old and outdated. Like I said, it doesn't have the best reputation for great food, but if your kid really likes, sea creatures and that type of thing, you might want to look into that one too. And those are the main ones that I thought of. There's tons of dining at Epcot, like I said, so you can look into it and find out what you think would be best for your family. But those are just some good recommendations that I thought of when I was trying to think about the best places for kids in Epcot to eat. Also know that, and if you've done any research about Epcot, you probably already know, but they have lots of festivals. So let's see, there are Festival of the Arts, which is my favorite one. There's Flower and Garden Festival, Food and Wine Festival, and then Festival of the Holidays. Those are all great for adults because there's lots of food and drinks that you can try, but they also usually have lots of fun stuff for kids too. Like at the Festival of the Arts, we went a few years ago, and there's this big mural that you can help paint. You get a specific color that matches like these little, it's like basically little pixels that you paint, and you just paint the pixels that match with the number of your color. My daughter and I did that a few years ago, and it was really fun. They had this spot where there were all these bubbles, and when you popped them, there was like fog that came out. There were really cool chalk drawings on the ground. And then of course, during Flower and Garden Festival, everything's just beautiful with flowers everywhere and lots of topiaries. So those are fun for the kids to look at. There's topiaries all through the park, so you can try to find all of those, figure out which ones are your favorite, that type of thing. And I believe a lot of times you can ask a cast member. A lot of times during the festival, they have cool little scavenger hunts for kids. So there might be, like during one of them, I think there's like little Remy's that you have to find everywhere. And if you can find them all, then you win just like a little prize or something like that. So that might be something to look into if you're there during a festival with your kids too. Speaking of things that you can find, there's also something called KidCot. And this is where there's KidCot, I think it's called KidCot Fun Stations or something like that. In each country in the world showcase, you can go to the KidCot Fun Station, and they'll have like a little card for you with a bunch of information about that country. And I think there might be like a little picture you can color on each one. And if you collect them all through the World Showcase, I believe you can turn them in for something a little extra. I'm not sure what the prize is, but we haven't done it, but it would be fun because sometimes, I'll be honest, our kids can get a little bored when we are going through the World Showcase. We oftentimes don't spend as long as my husband and I would probably like in some of the countries, just because we want to try to keep them happy. But if they're doing this, that might be a way to keep them involved and keep them interested and excited about going to the different countries. And they can also learn something along the way too. So definitely something to look into. We might try to do that on this trip. We'll see. Okay, now another reason that kids might love Epcot is because there are so many characters to meet. I believe there are more than even at Magic Kingdom. We once spent an entire day just like tracking down the princesses. It was the hottest day ever because a lot of the lines are outside, but my daughter loved it so much. So I will go through these quickly. I will say, check the times. A lot of them only will meet for like an hour or two during certain times of the day. So if it's really important to you, check those times on your Disney World app. Make sure you're there early because they do cut off the line and you might just like miss your chance to meet that character, because that's happened to us before and it was really a bummer for my daughter. So let's try to go through these. Let's go through the World Showcase first, because there's a lot of different princesses you can meet and characters in their countries. So first of all, in the UK, you can meet Winnie the Pooh, or Alice. In France, you can meet Aurora and Belle, and sometimes Belle is in her blue dress, which to me is a big deal. She's my favorite princess. I've never met her in her blue dress yet, only her yellow dress. So hopefully my daughter really wants to meet her in her blue dress too. In Germany, you have Snow White. Morocco, you have Princess Jasmine. In China, you have Mulan. And then close to the entrance of World Showcase, I'm not exactly sure where, but I know it's close to the entrance, you can meet Asha from the new Disney movie Wish. She is a lovely character. I did not care for that movie. I did not think there was enough heart put into that movie for it being, what was it, like the 100th Disney animated film or something like that. But anyway, I could do a whole rant about that and about how I think Disney needs to get back on their game with their animated movies. But anyway, she's a lovely character and you can meet her there too, which is pretty cool. In Former Future World, let's see, I'll try to go through with the new lands for these ones. I'm gonna look at my list if I'm looking down. Oh, I forgot, Elsa and Anna you can meet in Norway as well, which is a huge one. They're super popular characters, and they meet there all day. They have their own little summer house. It's really cute. I have heard that if you go later at night, the lines are a lot shorter. There is no Genie Plus, or there are no lightning lanes. There's just one line for everybody. So I've never been there when it has been like a super long wait, but I have heard that like the last hour or two that it's open at night are a great time to go. Oh, and you can also meet Donald Duck in Mexico, and he's really super cute. He has like a sombrero on. It's really cute. Like right outside, right beside the Mexico Pavilion, which also his ride, the Three Caballeros, is inside that pavilion too. Okay, so now we're going to go into, let's see, we'll start with World Celebration. So you can meet Minnie and Mickey. I believe I read, they used to meet somewhere different. It's all different now because they've done a lot of work in this area. I believe it is either in the Pixar Short Film Festival building or near that building. You can meet Minnie and Mickey. And then outside the Figment ride, there's like this big play area. And in there's also a meet and greet for Figment, which is, I think that's only been there for a year or two. So that's kind of new, kind of special. So you can ride his ride and then you can meet him. It's kind of fun. His ride's not that fun, but anyway, we'll get to that later. You can also meet Joy there in that same area, and she is so much fun. We've met her before. The new Inside Out movie is coming out this summer, so that's fun that you can meet her too. And then outside in, World Celebration, during certain times of the day, you can also meet Daisy and Goofy. And I believe that's everything in World Celebration. Every once in a while, just random characters will also pop up. So just always keep your eyes open. Oh, and then in World Nature, I'm super excited about this one because we have not met her yet, but you can meet Moana, and it's close to her new Moana's Journey of Water attraction. Super, super excited to hopefully meet her on our upcoming trip. We all love that movie. Okay, I'm looking at my list and I think that's everybody, but look on the app because it will have all the characters. I do believe if a character is done meeting for the day, they will no longer show up on the app. So you might want to look before your trip sometime like first thing in the morning, and it'll show all the characters and all the times that they'll be meeting that day. So just so you know what to look for. And then also look the day of and make sure you know your times. But you can meet a ton of characters at Epcot. That's one thing that'll, again, keep your kids interested if they're starting to lose a little bit of interest in the World Showcase. Okay, so now we are ready to start our virtual tour of Epcot. So we're gonna start with World Celebration. So this is close to like Spaceship Earth and the entrance of the park. Okay, so first of all, you have Spaceship Earth. And that is the ride that's inside of, well, the Spaceship Earth. I used to think it looked like a big golf ball when I was little. Obviously it's the big park icon. There's a ride inside of that, and it is Spaceship Earth. It's a very slow ride. It kind of takes you through the journey of the history of communication. So it's educational. It's not scary. Anybody can ride this ride. There's a fun little simulation at the end that shows what the future will look like. We like to do it every trip. Some kids might find it a little boring, but I feel like it's classic Epcot, and it usually doesn't have a long line, so that's a fun one to just jump on anytime. It gives you a while to be off of your feet. It doesn't have the best air conditioning, but it's still better than being out in the sun. And when you come out of the ride, you go into this big building where you can play all kinds of different games and activities and things. My daughter always likes to play around a little bit there too. And that's a good thing about Epcot. There's a lot of just hands-on things that you don't necessarily have to stand in line for. So that makes it a little fun when you compare it to like Magic Kingdom, where you're just waiting in line a lot of the day. Okay, and now we have Journey into Imagination with Figment. This ride used to be amazing back in the day, from what I've heard. I never rode it back then when it first opened. Then they changed it and it was really bad, and then they changed it again to make it slightly better, but it's like you're riding it and you're like, this is so weird, what is going on right now? That's what I always think when I'm on the ride. My daughter likes it. Like, it's fun, it's fine. It's definitely not one of those top grade A attractions, like must-dos, but it usually doesn't have a long line. If you need a filler attraction, it's there. It's not scary, but I will say there is a room that smells like a skunk, and it's pretty awful. Like, it's supposed to, but if some kids are like sensitive to things like that, they might not like that. There's also one part that kind of makes you jump a little bit. So those are the only scary things. Other than that, anybody can ride it. It's really not too scary. I think the best part of the ride is when you get off and there's a bunch of fun things you can do and play with again. And then there's those 2 meet and greets I talked about before for Figment and Joy. So, you know, not the best ride in the world, but it's not too bad. Okay, it's a little bad. And then there's the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, where they just show Pixar shorts. We've never really done that, but if you want to get away from the crowds and get off your feet for a little bit, you can go in there, and I don't think there's usually very big crowds in there. I've also heard there are restrooms around that building that nobody knows about and nobody goes in. So if you want a quiet restroom, there's one there too. And you can also, I believe, meet Mickey and Minnie around there. And that is right next to the Figment ride, which looks like a giant pyramid. Oh, and there is going to be the Communicore Plaza stage. This is new. There'll be a new Encanto show opening, I believe, this summer. I'm really excited to see it. We love that movie in our family. And then if you're hanging out, another cool thing about Epcot is they just have random like entertainment. So there's this group called the Jam-Meters, like with M's, Jam-Meters. They look like they are custodians. They're carrying around like trash cans and things like that, and all of a sudden they start doing this like drum show with all of their custodial equipment. So that's super fun. It just pops up. I'm not sure if it has like the actual show times listed in the app, but it's just kind of one of those fun things that it's exciting when you happen upon it and you get to watch it. Okay, moving on to World Discovery. So I don't know the different worlds very well, but I have my list in front of me. First of all, you have Mission Space. There are 2 versions of this ride. There's, I think, the green version and the orange version. I will put it on the screen because I'm not sure which is which. One is more intense and the other is more mild. I have not ridden it, but I have heard it can make you pretty sick and it can be pretty intense. So it's supposed to simulate going up into space. There's a lot of G-force like pushing on you in the intense ride. I believe it just like spins really fast, but you're looking at a screen, and I know that can mess with, if you get motion sick, that can really mess with you. So ride that one with caution. It does have a height requirement. It's probably not gonna be a huge must-do unless your kid is really into space. And you don't want to feel sick the rest of the day either, so ride that with caution. Then we have Test Track. This is the fastest ride, I believe, on Disney property. They are refurbishing it right now though, so it's closed right now. Not sure when it will reopen, but as of right now, it's like you are riding in this test this vehicle, and it's like testing different speeds and conditions and different things like that. And then at the end of the ride, you go outside and go around the building at these really fast speeds. I don't know, it's not the most exciting ride in the world, but it is fun if you want to go fast. My daughter did not love it when she was little. It's not a roller coaster, but it's a little more thrilling because it does go really fast at the end. But they are refurbishing it right now, so we will see. I believe it might be like a complete retheme, so which will be like the second time they've completely rethemed it, so like the third version of the ride. So we'll see. We'll have to see what that brings. This is also where you're gonna find Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Now this is one of the most intense rides in the park. It has a height requirement, which I will put on the screen. If you're prone to motion sickness, you might want to ride it with caution. Same for your kids. I would say you need to really know your kid to know if it's okay for them to go on this ride or not. It can be a little scary. There's like a villain in the ride that might seem a little scary to them. And it also, I don't want to give any spoilers, but just know you're going to be going every which way, every direction multiple times. It spins a lot. It's fast. It's in the dark, and there are screens. So you know, that can affect people differently. I've never really gotten nauseous on it, and like I said before, it is the best ride I think I've ever ridden, especially at Disney World. I live close to Cedar Point, so it's hard to beat some of those big thrill rides. But anyway, it is an excellent ride, absolutely perfect. Even the pre-show is just amazing. It gets you so excited to ride the ride. It's hilarious. Even if you're not familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy, I think you will have a very fun time riding this ride. So, and just know, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, you can always do child swap too, so that if you're with other people in your party, one group can wait through the line, wait through the whole line, and then another group, you tell the cast member, and they will let you basically go through the lightning lane line, so you don't have to wait through the line twice. So you can always do that with any of these rides with height requirements that your kids can't ride. But yes, do not skip that one unless you think it'll make you really sick. But know your kid and have them ride it with caution. Some kids will absolutely love it. Some kids will probably be traumatized by it. It's not overly scary, but it could seem that way to some kids. Next we have World Nature. This includes the Land Pavilion. So this is a big building. I love this building because you can go in there and spend some time in there, and it's air conditioned. There's a nice little like food court type area there. It's called Sunshine Seasons. They have a lot of like a big variety of different foods and snacks, pretty much anything you could need for your kids or yourself. And it's nice and cool in there. So we end up spending a lot of time in there in the summer. You also have Awesome Planet, which is just basically a short film that you can watch about saving the planet. I've never watched it, honestly, so I can't say much about it, but you do have that there if you want to spend some time off of your feet. You also have the Garden Grill restaurant that I talked about earlier with those characters. That is there. Then you have the Living with the Land ride. This ride anybody can ride. It's a slow moving boat ride, and it's educational. It talks about all the different plants that they grow that they actually use, I believe, at the Garden Grill restaurant. So you go through, and first of all, there's these little scenes. There's like a house and all kinds of different scenes that you go through. And then you actually get to go through like the greenhouses where they grow the plants, and they talk about the different unique ways that they can grow the plants and stuff. It sounds like it would be boring for kids, but honestly, my 10-year-old has always loved it. She likes riding it, and I feel like she learns something when she rides it. So that one's great. That's a good one. It's longer, helps you get off your feet and be in the cool air conditioning, and you can learn a little something. Usually there's not a long line. If there's a long line on that one, you know it's a very busy day or something has gone horribly wrong. And then you also have Soarin' in that building, which is, it's basically just a big screen, and it's like a simulator ride. It's supposed to be like you're hang gliding. So there is a height requirement on this one, but it's not overly thrilling. I think anybody that's tall enough could probably ride this without being too scared, unless your kid really has some sensory needs, because there are some things that are kind of in your face on the movie. But Basically, it's just like you're hang gliding over some different landscapes and monuments and things like that all throughout the world. And back in the day, it was like the number one ride in Epcot, maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. Now it's just, there's some definite ones that are definitely a lot more thrilling and exciting than Soarin', but I still think it holds up. Like I said, it's my 10-year-old's favorite ride in the park. She would just ride it over and over. There are some interesting things to smell while on the ride. I think I heard Molly from Mammoth Club say it'll be your mom's favorite ride. And I think that's true. It's just a cute ride, and most kids will like it. And you can even, this is the only ride I believe that has a height requirement that you can also ride when you're pregnant. So just fun fact, I was excited to get to ride that when I was pregnant last summer. But yeah, that one's probably a must do. Love that one. Like I said, the loading of it, the pre-show and the loading can take a little while. So make sure you have a big block of time before you ride that one. In addition to the land pavilion, close by you also have the Seas Pavilion. And in the Seas Pavilion, there's a big aquarium. We love to walk through the aquarium. I always say, what other theme park has like a full aquarium inside? If you don't want to ride any rides, you can just enter the aquarium without riding a ride, or you can enter through the Nemo ride. I think it's called The Seas with Nemo and Friends. In terms of must-do rides, this one is not the most exciting ride in the world. If your kid loves Finding Nemo, you're definitely going to want to do this one. This one also doesn't usually have long lines though, and it's a pretty quick ride. You get off your feet. We like to ride it every time, even though I'll be honest, it's not the most exciting ride in the world, but it's not bad. I mean, it's fun. And that brings you right into the aquarium where you can explore for as long as you want or not. But we love it. It's a huge aquarium. It was there when the park opened, so that's kind of fun. But another one of those cool Epcot things that you don't necessarily have to be waiting in lines all day. You can go through the aquarium and just look at whatever you want to look at, take your time, do whatever you want to do. My favorite part is the manatees. I love manatees, and you can watch them. Sometimes you can be there. A couple times we've been there when some of the cast members will be telling some cool information about the manatees, but love that part. But anyway, I always think that's cool. There's also Turtle Talk with Crush. We've only done this once, but it's like a show. You go in and sit down, and Crush from Finding Nemo comes on the screen, and he starts doing this show, but it's interactive. So he'll actually talk to people in the audience. So it's a different show every time. The technology of it is pretty cool. So that's a neat one too. So another place you can go in, get in the air conditioning for a while to get out of that heat. So I think that's another reason we love Epcot. There are a lot of places to go to get out of the heat. And now our last section of the park is the World Showcase. So I will just kind of go through country by country and highlight any rides or attractions I think would be good for kids. So we're gonna start in Mexico because that's the correct way. I'm just kidding. There is a big debate over whether you should start on one end in Canada or the other end in Mexico. We usually start in Mexico, but anyway, the Mexico Pavilion is really cool. It's just a cool building, and you can go in and there's all kinds of really cool merchandise you can buy. And all that, just know in World Showcase, all of the stores and the restaurants and everything are going to be geared toward that country, and all the merchandise you can buy too. And there's also, this is just a small detail, but there are a couple of little scenes when you walk into the Mexico Pavilion from the Coco movie. And that, for a long time, was my daughter's favorite movie. I probably watched it 500 times. We love it so much. So she loved that when she was little. And if you watch the scene, it will change after a few seconds. So that's super fun. So if your kid loves Coco, don't miss that. And then if you go a little further in, it's really dark and just cool in there. It's a good kind of sensory break if it's not too busy. I feel like if you need one, or if your kids need one. There's a restaurant there that you can, it's a table service restaurant. I've heard the food is so, but you can sit and watch the boats go by from the Three Caballeros ride. And that ride, speaking of which, I've never done anything besides a walk-on that ride. It's usually a walk-on. On busier days, it might have a short line, but it's one of those, people don't know it's there. It's like tucked inside there, and it doesn't usually get long lines. So if you want to ride something with a really short ride, you can ride that, and it's super cute. I feel like it's underrated. It's cuter than people give it credit for. I mean, it's not anything like spectacular, but I think your kids would enjoy it. Nothing scary at all, so anybody can ride that. It's really cute, especially if your kids like Donald. So that's pretty much everything for the Mexico Pavilion. So moving on to Norway. This is, even though Frozen takes place in Arendelle, I guess that is most closely related to Norway. So this is where you're going to find all the Frozen stuff. So you have that Frozen summer house meet and greet where you can go into like literally Anna and Elsa's summer house. There's some really cute little details in there while you're waiting in line, and then you go into this room and I think you meet Anna, and then you go on and meet Elsa. It might vary depending on where you go in, but that's going to be huge. I know Anna and Elsa are super popular. It can get a long line, but great meet and greet. We do it every time. And then after that, you can go on to the Frozen ride, which is just a boat ride in the dark. It's inside, so the line is inside too, so you can stay nice and cool while you wait for that. But again, you are probably going to want to book a lightning lane for that one if you can, or do it first because it really can get long lines. So basically you just go on your boat through all of these scenes from the Frozen ride. You see all of the characters. The animatronics are very cool. It just opened a few years ago, so it's all of the newest tech. Oh, well, it seems like it's getting older now compared to some of the other rides, but newer technology. There are two parts that might be a little scary for kids. Not too bad though. Like, we took our baby on it and she was fine, but there's one part where Elsa's singing and your boat kind of goes backwards down this tiny hill a little bit. I've heard that some kids can get scared on that. And then there's also a part where you see the big snow monster, Marshmallow, and he kind of yells something in your face. And as he does that, you go down this little hill. It's about the same size as the hill in Pirates of the Caribbean, so not too scary. But when my daughter was little, she did not like Marshmallow. So maybe just warn your kids, close your eyes at that part if they don't like Marshmallow too. But definitely a must-do ride if your kids like Frozen. And even as an adult, I enjoy that ride. I just think it's cute. And next, we'll move on to China. There are no rides in China, but there is, it's like a big movie about China. I believe it's like a big theater where the screens kind of go all around you. I have not done this yet, but if you want to make it a bit of a more educational trip for your kids, you can go and watch that movie, or if you just need to get out of the sun for a little bit too. And also you can meet Mulan in China. There's not a whole lot other than that is specific to kids in that country. In Germany, again, there are no rides, but you can meet Snow White there. They have some cool gift shops. And there's also something that you don't want to miss. There is a model train in Germany. We love it so much. You can kind of walk through and look really closely. There's some really cool details there. I know the one day we were there, it was raining, the train was not running, so I'm not sure if it is weather dependent, but super fun little detail. It's those little things in Epcot that to me make it so much fun. There's just little touches everywhere that I think make it fun for kids and adults. Next, we have Italy. And there's really no rides or characters in Italy for kids. But there is that Via Napoli, that restaurant that has the best pizza, so don't forget about that. A lot of times there are like street performers too, doing different tricks and shows that can be kind of fun there too. So not a ton in Germany for kids, but still some details that they might find interesting, and some excellent food. Moving along to the America Pavilion, and there's a big building where you can see the American Adventure. It's like a show with animatronics. I've never done it, but again, for educational purposes, you might want to do it with your kids. They might think the animatronics are cool, and it's also always good to get off your feet. This is also the building where you can see Voices of Liberty. Voices of Liberty, which is one of my favorite things. They can make me cry more than Happily Ever After can, and Happily Ever After makes me cry a lot too. So if you love beautiful vocals, that is great. My daughter thinks it's boring. She always she always kind of complains when we go, but for you, if you need, but just know, it's super beautiful music. So, and it always gets me. I love it so much. Then we have Japan, which again doesn't have any rides or much specifically geared towards kids, but that gift shop there, Mitsukoshi, I think it's called. There's so much fun stuff in there. Lots of cool candy and toys and cute little things. So your kids are probably gonna like that gift shop. And then next is Morocco. Again, not a whole lot for kids, but you can meet Jasmine there. So you might want to prioritize that depending on the characters that you want to meet. Next is France, where again, you can meet Belle and Aurora at different times during the day. There is another movie, kind of like the one in China, that you can see. There's a Beauty and the Beast sing-along. We've never done that because I feel like there's so many more exciting things to do in Epcot, but it is there. There's lots of great food and ice cream. We've eaten some really great ice cream in France. But the big heavy hitter in France is going to be Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is one of the newest rides in the park. It is adorable. I love it so much, and my kids love it even more. It's definitely one that's super geared toward kids. It's really not scary. The only thing you might want to note is it is 3D. Sometimes my daughter doesn't love that, and she doesn't, when she was little, she didn't like how things would like pop out in her face. And there is a lot of that in this ride. A lot of popping out in your face with the glasses on. So sometimes I would just tell her to take them off if that scared her too much. It looks a little blurry, but you know, you can still enjoy the ride that way. So that might make your kids a little scared, especially little kids, but for the most part, I think it's super fun. It can get some of the longest waits in the park. So again, like the Frozen ride, you're going to want to prioritize this with either Genie Plus or doing it early in the morning or close to park close or whenever the rides close. I know sometimes in World Showcase, things can open and close at different times. So always be looking at those times when you are making your plan for the day. Yeah, I think this ride is excellent. It's so cute. Okay, next is the UK Pavilion. Not a whole lot here geared towards kids except for those meet and greets that we talked about earlier. So Winnie the Pooh and Alice. I always think the little gift shops are cute in this section too. And then the last country, if you're going this direction, is going to be Canada. There is another one of those movies like in China, and what was the other one? France, I think. Another one of those educational movies, which we have not done, but it's there if you're interested. Also, if you go back towards, what's the restaurant? Le Cellier, we've eaten there once. It's just this big, open, beautiful area. And I think that's where the movie is that you can watch. If you keep going, there's like a waterfall. So if you just need another like sensory break, if you need to get away from the crowds, just take a little time out. This is another spot that you feel like you're alone, even though, you know, you're in the middle of Disney World. So, and it's beautiful. So sometimes you or your kids might need a little sensory break. You could take a little walk there and just look at all the beautiful things. With that, I think we've made it all the way around Epcot. So I'm sure this video is getting super long. Probably not as long as my Magic Kingdom one, but maybe because I split that one into 2 videos. So anyway, the only other thing I can think of to mention is that there is a fireworks show at night. Pretty much if you stand anywhere around the World Showcase, you're going to be able to see it. I think it's called Luminous. They've had a few different shows in the past. I still think Illuminations from a few years ago is far superior to anything that they've come up with in the past few years, but that's a whole different subject. I'm sure, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's beautiful. So if that's important to you, you're probably going to want to find a spot to stand well before the show starts, because it can get pretty packed. And just know it is going to probably be packed. You might want to bring ear protection for your kids if they have any sensory needs or anything like that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much everything as far as Epcot goes that I can think of. Again, it is a great park for all ages. There are so many interactive things that you can do with no wait. You know, you have the aquarium, all of those fun little places you can go and explore. I forgot to mention, Test Track has a really fun area outside of the ride that you can play and explore into. So it's a lot more interactive and kind of free compared to Magic Kingdom, where you just got ride. This is just a lot more interactive stuff. It's educational. And like I said, there's something for everybody. So if you are going to Epcot soon, I hope you have the greatest time. If you're bringing your kids, I hope they have the best time too. So thank you guys so much for watching. We are going on a trip in just a couple of months, so subscribe if you want to see all the planning content and the vlogs when we're there. In the meantime, I'm going to be sharing a ton of informational videos as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have the best trip ever.